Today, we'll be getting back into the latest news surrounding Sasha Banks and Bailey. Since winning the women's tag team championships, Sasha Banks and Bailey have been running the show across all three brands. Some fans and even other superstars are proclaiming Sasha and Bailey as the ultimate workhorses for working all three shows consistently every week. Sure, Charlotte did the same thing for a few weeks after WrestleMania, but Sasha and Bailey have so much more going on with their whole story. Sasha Banks is feuding with Asuka over on Raw for the women's title, while Bailey is feuding with Nikki Cross for the SmackDown women's title. Sasha and Bailey are also mixing in some title defenses for the tag team championships, as well as some NXT appearances. Then we also have the background tension between Sasha and Bailey that's leading to their breakup. So as you can tell, Sasha and Bailey just have so much story going on around them. For the first time in nearly 5 years, Sasha Banks is competing on NXT again, and you can't argue with the numbers. She's pulling in some major viewership for NXT. NXT beat AEW in viewership for the second week in a row, with Sasha's main event match also playing a big role in the ratings. Chris Jericho, who was tired of hearing of all the news about NXT winning in viewership, took to Twitter to break down the facts that AEW was still technically winning. He had this to say: "Here's a lesson about television ratings. Last week, AEW was number 6 in the 18 to 49 demo. To TV network and advertisers, it's the only number that matters, and we were up 31% in that area. So once again, AEW is the real winner in the Wednesday night ratings." Does Jericho have a point? He sure does. Maybe AEW is winning with that area, but the one thing he doesn't really have an answer for is the fact that they still lost in flat-out viewership. Sasha Banks spent the whole week celebrating this huge accomplishment because it was really a big deal. If NXT continues to feature Sasha and Bailey with them bringing in these big numbers, then it can mean trouble for AEW. They're going to have to step it up even more as well. So let's fast forward a few days to SmackDown. Sasha and Bailey come out to celebrate themselves with their promo and video package. But there also was a lot of those subtle hints between Sasha and Bailey. The first one could have been easily missed by most fans, but it takes place during the video package about Sasha and Bailey. In the video, Sasha says a few lines about how amazing Bailey is and how she doesn't know anyone that's as good as Bailey. Sasha then gives a very sarcastic-like facial expression to the camera, and I don't know about you guys, but I understood that whole line as a full-on sarcastic statement by Sasha Banks. So she was struggling to say that line about Bailey with a straight face. So that was the first breakup hint of the night, but then there were 2 more big hints. We just talked about it during last week's video on Sasha Banks and Bailey. We discussed how it'll be nice to see Sasha Banks volunteer and accept a match on Bailey's behalf, since Bailey is always doing that to her, and that moment finally happened. Sasha Banks accepted a match on Bailey's behalf and threw her into the match with Alexa Bliss, when Bailey wasn't even ready to compete at all. It's just the perfect revenge for all the times that Bailey has done the same thing to Sasha Banks. I've lost count of how many times Bailey volunteered Sasha into a match. It's about time Sasha got back at Bailey. The last big hint came after the match was over. Instead of just holding the title in her hand while Bailey was wrestling, Sasha Banks had Bailey's SmackDown Women's title fully wrapped around her waist and was wearing it as if she was the champion. Even after the match was over, the camera shows Sasha wearing the title around her waist and staring down at it while Bailey was exiting the ring. Sasha was also very slow with taking that title off her waist and handing it back to Bailey. I don't know, but it looks like Sasha Banks is definitely getting comfortable with the idea of holding the SmackDown Women's Championship. This isn't the first time Sasha Banks has done this sort of thing with the title. Sasha did something very similar at WrestleMania as well. After basically winning and defending the title for Bailey at WrestleMania, Sasha walked over to ringside, grabbed the title, and held it in her hand for a long time before finally handing it over to Bailey. It was made clear in that moment that Sasha Banks was at least entertaining the thought of holding the SmackDown Women's Championship. But not much really happened after that night. We've only got small, subtle hints like the ones we went over today. It's looking like WWE is stretching this storyline and milking it as much as they can, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's fun to speculate about the both of them and look for those little breakup hints week after week. So no one is complaining about them stretching it out as much as possible. This is something that Booker T even addressed during one of his recent podcasts. Booker T had this to say about the storyline between Sasha Banks and Bayley. I mean, come on, this is wrestling. It's pro wrestling, all right? It's not MMA, so something like that's gotta happen sooner or later down the line. One thing about it, we got plenty of time for something like that storyline. The last 4 to 6 months to a year before something like that could really jump off. Like I said, especially right now in the holding pattern. I'm all about timing, man. And right now, we gotta milk this thing as much as we possibly can. We gotta try to get as much out of every storyline on television right now, just to literally prolong what we're going through right now. So quite the interesting take there by Booker T. He also believes that WWE should take it slow with the storyline and milk it for as long as they can, considering the limited roster WWE has right now and the current situation. He's definitely right. You don't want to rush through the Sasha Banks and Bayley storyline, then it just gets to the point where Sasha and Bayley have nothing to do. So WWE is taking the story the right direction with the very slow booking. Even though the breakup is going slow, Sasha and Bayley still drop these hints every single week. They're booking each other in matches and give each other some strange looks at times. So we know the tension between them is still there, even though all the recent success they had. So imagine when they lose the tag titles and possibly even go on a massive losing streak. Things could get really ugly for Sasha Banks and Bayley. Booker T wasn't done yet. Booker showed some appreciation for Sasha's work, but was a little critical of Bayley's work. He had this to say. Sasha is a major player. She is one talent on the roster that you can always be able to go to, and then know that she's always going to deliver, especially in a big match. Bayley, the same thing. Even though I'm always on Bayley's case, you know, but Bayley is the quintessential worker. She can go out there and she may not be great at anything, but she's good at everything. So when I watch Bayley go out and perform now, taking on this new persona, which is something that I couldn't wait for something like this to happen, I think it's good for her. As well as we're in era again, this pandemic era. Everything right now is kind of like on hold in like a holding pattern. And for those two to be in a position in a holding pattern is perfect. So saying she's not great at anything could be seen as a small insult, but Booker did give Bayley a lot of credit for her work. Sasha Banks stood up for the both of them and responded on Twitter by saying that Bayley and herself are way better than Harlem Heat ever was, which was Booker T's tag team from way back in the day. So Sasha was right there and was quick with her response to Booker T. Sasha Banks and Bayley will turn their attention to the title matches at Extreme Rules. Sasha will need to focus on her WWE Raw Women's Championship match against Asuka, and Bayley will have to focus on defending her title against Nikki Cross at Extreme Rules. What will be interesting to see is the order of the matches at Extreme Rule. Will Bayley's match go on first, or will Sasha's match go on first? I can see it going either way. Maybe something like Bayley's match going on first, and Sasha once again helps her to retain the title. So Sasha then heads into her Raw Women's title match, feeling so confident because she knows Bayley will be right there to return the favor and help her win the Raw Women's title. And this is where I think the conflict will be at. Sasha is expecting Bayley to help her win by any means, especially since Sasha just helped Bayley earlier in the night. But to Sasha's surprise, Bayley actually cost her the Raw Women's title accidentally. Bayley will play it off like it was an accident, but we're all going to be able to tell that Bayley did it on purpose. Bayley doesn't seem like the kind of character that wants to share the spotlight. She doesn't want Sasha to have two titles as well. She wants to be the only double champion on the team. So that's why I feel like Bayley will be Sasha's biggest threat in the Raw Women's Championship match. Asuka isn't the big threat at all in the title match. It's definitely Bayley. So Sasha needs to watch over her shoulder at her best friend, because that's going to be the persona that stops her from being women's champion. That's my prediction for everything going on with them at Extreme Rules. But what are your thoughts on everything going on right now with Sasha Banks and Bayley? Leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.